All right guys, so on today's field tips, we're gonna take a quick look at a DIY automatic self-feeding aerial target thrower for archery. So stick around. Heck yeah. All right, so I'm gonna try to walk you through how this thing operates. You can actually buy these things, but they cost $2,000 to $3,000. This one probably cost me 50 bucks to make. To make this thing, all you've got to have is access to an old bicycle. I used a couple of gears off of a mountain bike, a wiper motor off of an old pickup, a couple of pillar bearings, which you can pick up at Fastenal or any of the places you can pick up bearings, things like that. A couple of springs off of a trampoline, obviously a 12-volt car battery, deep cycle battery, and some scrap metal. And with those things, I was able to make an automatic self-feeding aerial target thrower, as you saw. Now, this thing works. This wiper motor here has a tremendous amount of torque in it. And I'm gonna show you how all of this works together. But basically what's happening is this wiper motor is rotating, and I've got a little extension on the shaft. I've got a bearing on it. It's rotating and it's catching a little peg right here, which rotates this around, stretches the spring out. And when this arm here reaches past its breaking point on the rotation, the spring takes over, takes the load off of the motor, the spring takes over, and whew, that's what slings that arm up and shoots the target up. Now, this is the very first prototype of this thing I've built, and so it's very, very rough. The next version that I'm gonna build, it's gonna have a lot of changes on it, and I'll explain to you what that is. Doggone helicopter. But I need some help on this thing. I want to make it remote control. I want to make it so I can stand off 20, 30 yards, press a button, and have it go. But the problem I'm running into is I understand mechanical things. I understand linkages and mechanical stuff. What I don't understand is electronics, servos, relays, remotes, things like that. I have no clue. I'm in over my head when it comes to that thing, or that type of stuff. So if there's anybody out there, I know there's a bunch of you guys that understand RC cars and remotes and servos and things like that. Leave some comments, let me know what you think would be best to operate this thing. And I'm gonna show you what I need, exactly what I need. So this motor, these wiper motors have what they call a park feature in it. And so if I hook this, so there's 4 wires in this thing. One of them's a high speed, one of them's a low speed, one of them is a continuous operation, and then the other 2 is where this park feature comes in. And what this does is it allows you to apply power, and through an internal circuit in here, it'll make one complete revolution and stop. And that's perfect for this application, because if we apply power, rotates one time, slings the target up, stops. We don't have to worry about manually stopping the target so that this thing, or the target thrower, so that this thing doesn't just keep throwing targets out. Now, the way that it works is, so the switch that I need, or the remote operated function that I need, is basically to apply power to 2 different circuits, one pretty much constantly, but then switch to the other one for half a second and come back. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So I've got a couple of wires here. My brown wire here is for my continuous function. If I touch that, it just continues to go. Now my green wire, this is where the park thing comes in. If I touch this, it's gonna rotate one time and stop. It's still connected. All right, so now I need to go back to reset it just bump this other wire and now go back to my park wire. So to reset it, the brown wire touches here. That resets the internal switch. Now I go back to my park wire. And you see how it stops right there. That was handy. Now I can continue to touch this wire because that internal switch is now disconnected. It doesn't do anything until I reset it. Oh, didn't go quite far enough. There you go. So this, it needs to be connected to this wire for half a second and then go back to this wire when I press the button. So anybody that understands servos and all that stuff, like I said, if there is a remote solution that I can figure out how to hook this thing up to make it work like that so I can stand off at a distance, hit a button and make it work, I'd be indebted to you if you could help me out with that. So like I said, this is the first prototype. It's very, very rough. There's a lot of stuff on here actually that doesn't need to be here because I was just trying to figure things out. I was just trying things. Like this big hole here, these bars. This is all part of something that I was trying for an automatic feeding thing. I was gonna try to spring load something that would feed from the side, but I couldn't get that to work. And so I scrapped that idea, went back to the drawing board, ended up going with a ramp and then powering a little feed lever, which is down here off of a bicycle chain. That's where those sprockets come in off the mountain bike. So a couple of things that are gonna change on the next version is obviously I'm gonna redo all of this stuff. This is just, you know, boards and things that I screwed together just to see if the concept was gonna work. Now that I know it's gonna work, I'll go ahead and fab up a metal ramp. I'll actually have some bearings back here for my feed mechanism. And like I said, I'm gonna explain this feed mechanism on the next video when I get version 2 completed. But when I get this thing, when I build the second version, I'll do another video overview of that thing so that you guys can see how the finished product looks. And when I'm able to incorporate the ideas for the remote, that's what I really want. I want to have this thing completely finished. I want to have it remote controlled so that I can have it stand out there and operate it myself, because you don't always have someone to sit there and throw targets for you. And then plus you have somebody downrange, you're shooting arrows over their head. But this, I think, is going to be pretty snazzy. So if you're following me on Instagram and Facebook, I know that I promised you guys a video looking at the difference in momentum versus kinetic energy as it applies to arrows or arrow penetration. But I had somebody point out on Facebook what should have been very obvious thing that I completely overlooked, and that was the effect of drag on an object's penetration. And so I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board on that video, rethink some of the things that I was thinking, but rest assured that video is coming, and so don't jump all over me for that one. All right guys, so like I said, if you've got good ideas for how I can operate this thing remotely off a 12-volt system, leave them in the comments, let me know. I'd love to be able to get this thing set up and incorporate some of your ideas. So with that, we'll see you next time, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and you can see this thing in its full glory when I get it all complete. I'll have a guard up here so you don't knock your teeth out on that thing if it smacks you in the face. And then of course I'm gonna get rid of all this stuff. I'll probably paint it. We'll see you next time.